Thank you. Try that again. Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Line of Code. I am One Line, and you are all awesome. Oh my gosh. So does that mean that my mic was unmuted during the entire intro? It's a good thing I wasn't cursing at my code. No, because I'm pretty sure I pushed the button. I think it just filtered out any sounds that I might have made, which I made no sounds other than running upstairs to refill my water bottle and then running back down. So yeah, I'm pretty sure my mic was on. If I had talked, it would have picked me up. But anyway, hi One. Hi Napalm, you indeed are first. Today is another fantastic day to be a developer. We have been working on redesigning the UI for the application that we created on stream 200 plus days ago. We started it 200 plus streams ago. So yeah, so we're working on making it better, making it prettier, making it look more like a professional application. Right now, this is what the UI looks like for the most part, save the top bar. That wasn't there in the original design, but we did implement everything else. We have a hero section with a large graphic behind, a login form, even though the login form isn't used. 3 cards that talk about what the application does with call to action buttons, even though none of them do anything at the moment. The data entry page looks somewhat like this, not really. We did use these colors, and we definitely have this tabbing system up here, and it works well. We have this account overview, the transaction summary at the bottom. We also have a couple more windows that aren't in here. So one of them is a flyout, or a side drawer is what I would call it. That comes out from the side when you click on any of these accounts to see a filtered version of the transaction history. Another one is the adding a new account window that comes up, dialog that comes up. Another one is editing an existing transaction and deleting transaction. And adding a posted date. So there's a few pop-ups, few modals that we've added that aren't in the design, but overall, good first attempt, good functionality, it all works. However, we want this to look like an actual consumer application. And so we are playing the role of a designer who was hired by the company that had a previous developer that designed this financial management system for them. And they're happy with the functionality. They like the way that it works, but they don't think it's pretty. And the previous developer didn't have the skills to be able to do the design. So now that they've had some users and generated some revenue from this app, they want to reface it and make it better, make it look professional and cool. So that's what we're doing. We are that designer. We're also the previous developer, but it doesn't matter. So this is what we've come up with so far. For the full page, full screen landing page, we have, it's a hero section, but we don't have a clear divider. So I was wanting to get away from using harsh lines as far as for dividing the header from the main hero section from the rest of the content. So it's this kind of full page, takes up the whole thing. We get the one big headliner that says, get your finances on track with the financial management tracker, streamline your financial goals. So something easy to read with a call to action. And we need to figure out what page that call to action actually goes to. We have 2 design possibilities, maybe more, that we can use with it. Then for the rest of the page, as you scroll down, this top section collapses a little bit until it gets to its minimum height, in which case it'll just scroll from that point on, and we'll probably put a background on the header. And then the rest of the page content for information about the product itself. That's what we are currently working on. So we came up with 2 major sections so far. The first one is information about what this application does. Or I'm sorry, this is that whole problem solution approach, which is the problem is you need a way to track your transactions. And so here's what you can track and how the app provides it to you. Then I want to see all of my transaction history. So here is what you can do in the application to do that thing. We can add more content to this later, but right now this is really the only functionality the app can do. Some other things that we can have in here for future are the ability to schedule recurring payments that will automatically try to input for you, but will still require you to take intervention before it gets committed to your record. Because again, this is all about, no, Duca, that's sad. He's here in spirit. He's always here. Regardless of whether he's physically here or able to pay attention or not, he's here. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, even if he's not physically here, his bot is ever present. He is like the Force Ghosts. Force Ghosts? What is a Force Ghost? So Digabot said, or gave me a dad joke that said, what do you do when you see a spaceman? Park your car, man. Star Wars? Maybe? He is like the... There are... I think I know what you're referring to. I didn't know what you meant by Force Ghosts, but I can imagine. So since there is this thing called Force in the Star Wars universe, then there are people, Jedis and others, that persist even when their life has left their body and they are become Force ghosts. Is it from a specific Star Wars? Because I don't remember that being in any of the original Star Wars or Episode 1. I think it's in all of them. Interesting. Obi-Wan was a Force ghost? I thought that was just a in 4 through 6. Original 4 through 6 or prequels? Originals. Man, not recalling. Well, there you go. I don't remember that, but I have watched them. But I believe you. It's a thing. And Dukasoft is not like, I don't know, maybe he has left his body for a while, but I don't think he's dead in the physical world. I hope not. I'm gonna need your nerd card. You can have it. I don't use metrics like that to identify myself with any particular groups. If I know it, I know it. If I don't, I don't. And I don't know that one. Gomen Asai, here's my nerd card. I'll give you this instead, because I may have already given my nerd card back or just never really had it. Just to clarify, I don't think Dukasoft is dead. He's just like a Force ghost. Like a Force ghost. I didn't say he is a Force ghost. So how was your massage? Was it a good massage? Tell us all about it. Inquiring minds want to know. And do you get them often? So I'm trying to use this for some inspiration for what to put in those graphics. We tried coming up with our own graphics, like these here, for example. I get some Invader Zim vibes with the coloring of these. It wasn't until the next day. So the massage was good until the next day. I woke up and have been taking have been having dizzy spells ever since. Something got pinched, I think. I usually do a few a year, never had a problem. I used to go to the chiropractor very, very often, and it was the opposite for me. It was like I went from having low energy, no strength, to actually feeling like I could move physically. My knees were especially bad during my growing pain years. I had a condition, or maybe still have, I haven't had it checked out in a long time, but had a condition called retropatellar pain syndrome, which is just a fancy way of saying I had very little to no cartilage behind my kneecap. And so I didn't really use my legs that much. I was very sedentary, even though I was in Taekwondo, did soccer, but the cartilage behind my kneecap was just either rubbing down or grinding against my actual knee. And so I had a lot of pain. Lots and lots of pain all the time, which led to back issues. I have 2 vertebrae that are kind of fused together. So limited mobility, limited flexibility, not mobility. But anyway, had some acupuncture done and just regular traditional chiropractic. And I also needed to have my quads strengthened because since my quads were not very strong, that's where I was trying to get at, my kneecap wasn't supported. So that was also contributing to it. So I had a lot of quad type exercises I needed to do. And so through a combination of my chiropractor's magic and doing the exercises, it got a lot better. I think the dizziness is starting to stop, so I hope it gets better. But chiropractor is on my list of people. If it doesn't stop within the next day or so, yeah, there are dangers with chiropractors even. So even professional chiropractors, one of my brothers had a situation in which he went to a chiropractor, and this is of course after I had been seeing a chiropractor for years and had no issues whatsoever. He went to a chiropractor. He was a boom operator in the Air Force, so he was constantly in positions where he was straining his back and just in positions that normal humans aren't in for extended periods of time. And so he went to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor the chiropractor messed up. I'll just say that. And it wasn't good for him, and he had other complications on top of it. I think he's doing better now. Pretty sure he is. But yeah. That's the information. There you go. No idea why I needed to share, but I did. I'm moving around the screen as if I know what I'm doing. We need to figure out how to style these sections, regardless of whether we have graphics inside of here or not. I want to decide whether we're going to have like alternating background colors on here or another just solid color for the rest of the page with some dividers of some sort. I'm never really good at visualizing this type of thing, and this is one of the areas that I want to improve on, and that's why we are also doing this on stream. Napalm says, yeah, that worries me about a chiropractor, heard similar horror stories. But I was lucky, I guess, because the chiropractor that I got was awesome. He would always talk with his patients. I'm assuming it wasn't just me, but with his patients about what it is that he's doing. He had alternative practices, alternative medicine practices, or whatever the thing is called, where you can also do things like Eastern medicine. But like I said, I had acupuncture done from him, and I don't know if it was placebo or not, but it really did feel like it affected my energy levels. It was a lot. It was good. On top of the normal chiropractic. Okie-dokie. Yeah. All right. I need inspiration. If anyone does have any suggestions, again, consider that we're trying to make this application look professional, look like it is an actual product for a customer. I don't mind the kind of jokey comments of what we could do with the application. We can talk about them, have fun with them, but the overall product or the overall end goal that we want will be an application UI that looks like something that could be out in the world, that millions of people use to manage their finances or whatever. Ooh. This is a little messy to me, but I like the concept. What if we had a slight kind of parallax effect that as you scroll down and start seeing the rest of the content, you get something that overlaps the hero section? Yeah. Just gonna say, even if you have a demo on a site, people will call to ask about the product. And be like, yeah, I'm sure that there will be one other person in the world that would want to use an app where they have to enter every single financial transaction that they want to track manually. I can't be the only person that wants that. Yeah, I like these phrases too. Give yourself more control of your financial future. But like, I guess the thing that would distinguish this, if we're considering this as a market analysis, here's what people are doing with taking control of your finances. So that's my search term. The differentiator with this application is that you aren't really taking control of your finances. It's more raising your awareness of what you are doing with your finances and one of the byproducts of that is being able to control what you're doing, because if you're aware of it, you have a chance of making different decisions. Chance to make different decisions. But yeah, Napalm. Definitely see a chiropractor if you need to. I didn't mean to discourage that, but check reviews. See if anyone has had issues with whichever chiropractor you're gonna potentially see. Doesn't. Oh my goodness. My favorite thing that Sagetti got recently, and I'm gonna say this in general terms, but because I am saying this, note that the views and opinions expressed on this channel are my own and not necessarily the views and opinions of Sagetti. So one of the things that they introduced recently was a way to recognize their consultants. And because it's such a big company with so many employees scattered throughout the world, there is no centralized way to do this, or even breaking it out into districts or regions. It's still really hard to do something like this, but they introduced a program where any other employee could submit a note or a card or a kudos to any other employee, regardless of what level they're at. And the thing is that, like, they are also broadcasting messages for people's years of service and things like that. And so I get like 20 to 30 emails that say, let's congratulate blah for X number of years of service. It's like, I don't want to have to see those. Can I opt out? It's really annoying. So anyway, I just think it's not the right approach for recognizing people. At least my very, very good friend, his brother is a local chiropractor. Cool. Yeah. So I hope he's a good one. If you need one, hopefully you just don't need a chiropractor. I'll just hope that for you. But if you do, I hope your friend's brother is a good chiropractor. Yep. Okay. So I'm looking for some more inspiration on what we can do for the rest of the content's layout as you scroll through the page, because we do now have 2 other sections. I mentioned that I like this kind of effect where as you scroll, maybe you get this parallax thing. This dude looks like someone I went to college with. Bailey, if you can hear me, is this you? As you scroll, this little section here shows up or pushes the content up while the background image stays pretty static and then or moves slower, and this kind of covers it up. Because one thing that I was thinking we could do with that INTP or INFP is while this thing is moving up, so can I copy you and put you over here? While this thing is moving up here, oh, let me detach this entire thing too. Detach. So first of all, the header will be fixed here. Oh, that's odd. But while the content moves up, it starts getting transparent. Until the next bit of content covers it completely with its background and all of that stuff. But then the top part of this next part of content would have some kind of heading graphic that lets us know this is a new section that's taking over. I don't know. What do you think of the... What word do I want to use? I want to be pretentious. What do you think of the dichotomy between this kind of curved blob to the original lined background? So here's some straight lines. And then as you scroll, you get this blob that's curved. Hello, TBD Gamer. Someone else that we want to also send some healing thoughts and love to. Really hoping for a better, more expedient, or whatever word I was trying to use during your stream, recovery. It is a little strange, you're right. But yeah, if you have not checked out TBD Gamers and you are available during about 5.5 hours ago, and you're able to check out his stream, definitely check him out. He's a great developer, great streamer, awesome to hang out with. He may not be able to stream tomorrow, depending on whether his cold or whatever this thing that's affecting him goes away. But you're absolutely right. It's odd. It's weird. I don't like it. I don't even like it as straight lines. I won't repeat today's attempt if this is still lingering. Good. We would prefer to see you in good health and taking care of yourself than have to miss a few streams or be you know what I mean. It'd be better if you weren't able to stream for a few days to recover, for even a couple weeks or however long it takes you to recover, no time period put on that, than to have you try to stream when you are feeling like poop. Looks like river meandering through the page. Ooh, you know, the concept is good though, if we thought about it like that, because this could represent cash flow that you are watching. It would work, but again, just the overall effect and aesthetic looks pretty bad. So that's a no. But that was just me throwing something up there. Would anything work? So I guess if you have the ability to see other combinations of this, would anything actually work on top of this background with this header to move the content upwards? So can I just take this whole entire thing and do this? Okay, hopefully our meetings go well. Give me another rectangle. How am I going to do this? I am going to manually move these up. Header is on top. So if I move this up like this, like we've been scrolling, and I add a transparency, and actually, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull the header outside of the hero. Like that. Then I'm going to move the hero up. Why are you clip content? Perfect. Why are you perfect? This is how you toot your own horn without meaning to. Okay, so we scroll you up, we take the content. Oh, that's why. So the other thing that was supposed to happen is while we are pulling this up, we are also moving the background slower than the content, because that's how parallax works. So the content is about here compared to where it was. Dang, which means that I do need to squish this more. Anyway, so we're going to take that content, pass through here. Then does the header get a background? And if so, how do we pull that off without making it look like a solid line? This is so hard to do in a design tool like this, because I want to do this dynamically. I want to have a page open that we can test these things out on. What happens if I give it a background that's probably this color? Man. Because the other cool thing that I would want to do with this is, as this background is disappearing into the rest of the page, the top of the page, I kind of want the background itself to be transferred onto the background of the header. But the content is the thing that's going to essentially fade out. So can I mimic that? Can I fake that? If instead, oh, how would I do that? I don't know that I can fake that in Figma. Maybe I can. I know this thing called masks. So if I draw a square, like shell, into the header, because aim. And I made this square. The other thing that I want is for you to be at 100%. If I make this square fill, nope, that was the wrong thing. Just kidding. Rectangle, fill, gradient. May as well use black. And far end, 100% transparent. Okay, what happens if I use this as a mask? And the hero section. Is that not doing what I think it's supposed to do? Are you doing the opposite? Am I inverting my white and my black? Yes, you're doing the opposite. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. Hey, it did it. So as we're scrolling, the content above is still looking like it's ducking behind the header, even though it's just kind of dissolving into nothing. It's not a coding stream. No, I should put .NET Live Design Session in my title from now on. Updated. I am actually going to do that because you're right. We have not written code at all. So I apologize if that offends any of you. If you came here and you're like, hey, you've been a coding stream since 2013. I don't know when it was, 2020, 2018. And now you're just doing design and I want to see code. How dare you? How dare? Yes. That was perfect. Well played. Well played. Okay, so here's what I learned about this step. I do want this effect, regardless of what other things we put on the page. I want this effect where as you scroll through the content, we're parallaxing the hero section, having the content disappear behind the header, even though the header's background is completely transparent. But I want this kind of just disappearing effect. And then whatever we put behind this section is going to take over the hero section. This is Figma. I almost said something else. It is Figma. I downloaded the desktop app because I got tired of confusing myself with which tabs were open, but this is absolutely usable within the browser completely. I'm trying to also gain skills with Figma. I know that there are other design tools, but the majority of them that I tried had a lot of features that were locked behind paywalls. And Figma has a ton of stuff on their free use. Plan? Free to play plan? I don't know what to call it. Like, you can only have 3 pages, but for a hobby side project, yeah. As much as it pains me, I guess I better open up this Python project I'm working on. What's it about? If you feel like typing it, of course. Yeah, this is exactly the effect I wanted. That's really cool. So this thing here would need another thing on top of it. So I would put that inside of here directly. Well, let's just put it out here. And move it here. And then put you above. Wait, what? Oh. Oh, no, we're good. Above here. Uh-oh. Is it this? Where did I put you? You go here. Okay. So this is the top section that I'm wanting this to go behind. Only this part? Only this part. I'm just going to color it one of our random library colors. But this would be the thing that I want some kind of leading edge that starts taking over the header area. And I want to see this. I want to see this on a page and then scroll up and down and watch it do the transition from fully opaque to transparent as you scroll up. Background parallax, and this content will take over. And I guess the other question is, do we do the same type of effect for the appearing content? One thing that has really bothered me are websites where as you scroll, the content appears when it's done poorly. Evan says, I'm currently in the job search process, been drinking from a fire hose trying to learn Azure Functions, Service Bus, and Cosmos in the last several days. That is a lot of technologies to pick up. Azure Functions by themselves could be a thing that you dive into. Actually, you know what? The one that would probably take me the longest is Service Bus. I've never had to use it, and I know very little about it. Napalm did explain what the Python project is. Generating data for this system I am building at work by taking existing data and essentially doing a bunch of find and replace across a bunch of static assets. Don't ask, it's totally a workaround. I get it. The obscuring step that I did for some of the HR projects that I worked on a long time ago was taking the live data and then just inserting random characters for names and random numbers for social security numbers, and keeping all of the matching years of service though. Queue or topic, multi-sub queue. It sounds like a lot already. Depends on what you need in Service Bus. It's a queue. Oh. Yeah, but I mean, it's still a lot. Is it a full message queue that can have things like a dead letter queue and retries and whatever the strategy is called when you leave a message in the queue until it's fully processed, but you at least let people know that it was picked up. But it has all that. Jeez. It has dead letter. You can even have multiple strategies for retries and dead letters. Yeah, that's crazy. So, and then needing to know if you're trying to like show that as your skill, a higher skill level in that, I assume, would be, yeah, basically MS managed RabbitMQ. The way that you would demonstrate a higher level of skill is knowing which features to use given a situation. So this is the type of app that we have. How would we use Service Bus in this scenario? Which features of Service Bus would we use? Well, first of all, knowing should we be using Service Bus? TBD Gamer says use Kafka. Not that I know anything about Kafka either, or whether that would be appropriate to use in place of Service Bus. That's like a signaling service, I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything about those, so don't trust anything I say about Kafka, Service Bus, even functions. Like I get functions where they're essentially just microservices or very, very small API servers that sit there waiting for requests, and then they handle one thing. You send it the request and it does the thing. And you could get a response. But why not just make an API? Because microservices, obviously. My old job was to, we built Azure Functions and Logic apps to process events across a patient's lifecycle that were dropped into queues and triggered everything asynchronously. Yeah, so like that. That'd be a fantastic use case. And a flashy UI to aggregate everything, act as a portal to the patient's lifecycle, working with our company/project. That sounds like a typical healthcare system, which of course is not a bad thing. It sounds like it's a pattern that works really, really well for things like that. Evan says, yep, basically the same sort of event-driven architecture at this place I'm interviewing. It's stuff like, it's all the stuff I'd like to be using. So going in and demonstrating at least an understanding of the fundamentals seems like a good idea. Yeah, I agree, but it sounds like a lot to take in all at once. But in any case, I do hope the best for you for the interview. Learning is my superpower. Awesome. Awesome. And Juan says event driven. So it's kind of event driven. App functions really are just these endpoints that wait for you to tell it to do something. So that's event driven ish. Like you send an event to the thing, or you send a message to it, or you send a request to it, and then it acts on it. Cloud is largely cloud conceptually. Whoa, that one breaks my brain. So I am traditionally more AWS experienced. This new job is Azure, but I can pick it up as I go. Yeah, especially if they are okay with you doing that, because there are a lot of transferable skills from cloud service providers to other cloud service providers. So as long as you can demonstrate I have the ability to learn even as I go and implement correctly. Because like I've run into a lot of friend developers, co-developers, that can learn as they go. The issue is that they and me, I'm definitely guilty of this. Not that you should feel guilt over it, of implementing things not the correct way. Because I don't know the patterns. I don't know how it's actually supposed to be implemented. So this makes sense to me in this moment. And I think that this is going to cover all of these situations and scenarios and that this is going to be maintainable in the future. But then come to find out, it's like just a jumbled mess to everyone else because they're expecting a different pattern. So as long as you can demonstrate that you can follow the existing patterns while learning and going, then that would also be a valuable skill, in my opinion. Is that in your opinion? Oh, I like this mindful budgeting. Ooh, would that work on our site? So this thing here up at the top, inside of this, I keep wanting to go down in order to go to the lower in the page, even though I purposefully set it up so that the further down you go, the higher up on the Z index it is. Fun was saying object-oriented programming object is model is the first letter of the type of code. I don't think I understand that. I'm sorry. If you can Stack Overflow, you're hired. They know what they're getting with me, so must be okay. Yeah. I'm sure it is. And then Evan said, I was in the middle of getting my GCP Google Cloud Platform certification when I was laid off this last week. Oh man, sorry to hear that. So I've got a lot of familiarity with cloud-based architecture in general, but we'll see how it goes. I get to go in and do a pull request review with a lead and architect interviewing for another lead role. Model is greater than event. I mean, I prefer using request response type of things as well. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that, yeah, I don't know. I need to know more about using Azure functions before I can give any kind of opinions. I can't think of the word that I was trying to use. Give any kind of opinions on why I would prefer, or which type of approach I prefer to use. Because I don't know what all happens when you use Azure App Functions for things. Other than if you don't have a lot of requests and you have spin down to 0, then you have to wait for that warm-up time. Cool stuff. Okay. So the thing that I kind of saw that I liked-ish, that I think it's just going to make this messy, was this kind of background blur with this highlight, and then if we made everything purple-ish, then that could work for our headings. So here's our header, and if we added a rectangle inside of it, which I'm sure would work better as something else than a rectangle, but it's what I'm using, okay? And then we set this rectangle to be nice and fit. Excuse me. I just need you to fit. Okay, thank you. So And then we gave it a kind of radial blur. Not blur, radial gradient. And we went from a dark purple, which is in our library. That's not gonna work. I always try to do this. I'm like, let's use a color from our library in a gradient, but if I do that, then we're replacing the entire color here. So that doesn't work. Anyway, middle, dark purple, deep with dark purple, outer, lighter purple. How about pink? We love our pink. Give me a new node. Oops. Not quite doing what I'm thinking it should be doing. I still need it to be a rectangle. Not really. Yeah, we don't have things that look like this in the rest of the app, so that wouldn't really work. Gosh, this is really difficult for a brain like mine. I don't see things this way. What could we use? Okay, I'm just gonna go with this. This is nice. I'm gonna try to figure out how to get it to work with everything else. So for now, let's figure out everything else. Like all of it in one go. What should this section look like here? When we just started scrolling down, so your screen is like this. Oh, this is really hard to simulate. Your screen is like this. You started scrolling down, the header collapsed, or the hero section collapsed, and you get this general information part here. And you're starting to see the rest of the content. So what does this area look like? Yeah, and that's what I thought. I have clipping turned on for this. Which kind of tells me that I need a full page section with a content area. So let's do that. Give me another frame. And the frame is going to take up the entire section, width and height. Right at the last second, I moved my finger over. Oh man. There we go. Okay. So you are actually going to frame this entire section. You're going to be in the frame directly. Yeah, I'll just here, like so. Huge. And actually we don't need a rectangle anymore unless I'm gonna do custom shapes and stuff like that. But for now, let's just see if we can put a color on it. So the reason that I have this thing in its own frame is because I want to be able to stretch and squish it so that these line up on the far left, these line up on the far right, with constraints left and right, top. Yeah, I guess top and bottom. And that way when I stretch and squish this thing on the outside, it too stretches and squishes everything else. Right? Right. Duka soft. Duka 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 duka. Duka soft. 2. Yes, all 2. One of my favorite Taco Bell. What are they called? Emotions. Catchphrase. When they first came out with Doritos Locos Tacos, and they're like, you get the nacho cheese or the Cool Ranch, collect all 2. It was great. Campaigns. Ad campaign. What are we gonna do with this? Oh. I can't picture anything. Oh, it hurts my brains. What should you look like? I can't. I must. I need to. CodePen. Do I have? No, because I stole it. No. I never really know how to see all of my pens, but I think this is all of them. So we're just going to create a new pen. And this is going to be landing page. Man landing page. And we're going to sketch this out really quick because we can do things like that. So our base background color is background dark, which is some dark color, which is (0E 0E 0F). Oops, not what I tried. Not what I'm trying to do. So let's actually start with a root, and we'll declare some custom CSS properties like background color, for example. Itchy. So then our background color for this is going to be var background color. Beautiful. And already we have improved the site. Okay, let's write a simple structure. So we're going to have our body as our main container. Even though when we do this in Blazor, we're going to have a little bit more structure. So it's most likely going to be, and I know you don't need to do body in CodePen, but stick with me for a second. We'll have the body, then app, then usually inside of the main layout, you have a header or nav. And then a main. And then inside of main is where you have the left nav or side drawer. So I will go ahead and call this header. Will we? Because it kind of is a nav, isn't it? This is a link to the home page. These are links to separate parts of the page with a call to action button. So I think it's a nav. It must be strong. Done. And now everything belongs to strong. Oh, right. We need a primary for color. So I'm going to call this primary background color. Ow. Ow. And primary for color. Ow. Which is just going to be white, or are you off-white? I think I make it off-white. No, that's white. That's white. Where's my palette? All right. You don't have the full palette. Okay. Look, code. It's all HTML, but that's about it. HTML and CSS. Sheesh. So then color are primary foreground color. Okay, we do P. Yes. Okay. Now that that's done, oh, I love this one. This one reminds me of Mushishi. Oh my goodness. Hello, Thindle. Welcome in. What is going on? Shout out to Tyndall, just like that. Magic. These things just happen. Best non-bot bot ever. If you haven't seen a Thindle stream, I strongly recommend checking out Thindle as well. He's another .NET developer working on modernizing legacy application, or a legacy e-commerce website to more modern stuff, and it's so much coolness to watch him work on his stream. So give him a looks. And this will be the title. Do we put a header and a nav? So you can put header semantic HTML tabs inside of anything else, but it doesn't make sense to have a header inside of a nav. So this is the part that has the, I'm going to use a div logo just as our placeholder. And then we will have a section on the right that is for the actual nav links. And I'm actually going to put them on here. So, oh, it's going to be a UL, actually. A UL, which is how it's typically done. LI, about. And I'm going to put them inside of anchors. And we aren't currently thinking about doing all of the accessibility stuff too. By using semantic HTML, you get a long way into doing a lot of accessibility stuff, but we would want to make sure to have a lot of other, is it bang? Hash bang, right? We would, which one is it? Bang hash bang. The reason that I want the bang is so that it doesn't actually try to navigate to any specific ID on the page. So if you scroll down and you click on a link that is hash bang, it stays in place. It just does nothing. Yeah. So we do about, we do contact us and log in. Another question for those of you that make English language applications, or even those of you that do make non-English language applications, do you capitalize the first letters of all of your multi-word content, or do you always use capital first letter and then lowercase everything else? Even though we're probably going to transform these to upper, but so a capital, the second. Wait, target.net. Right now the financial management app has been targeting .net, but we will upgrade it to .net 8. So the financial management app development process for the most part is complete. We will refactor it in future streams, but right now we're doing a redesign of it, of the UI. But yes, we will be using latest.net when we get back to refactoring the application itself and not just the UI design. Okay, so I'm getting remarks back that that most people do use capital letters for every entry for these short title type things. One thing that the reason that I asked that is in our application, it's always, if it's not a proper noun, it's always the first word is capital and then the rest of them are lowercase, with the exception of proper nouns. And then also log space in versus log in. And so that's another place where we use the space, we use sign in, where the second word is lowercase, and that's up to you to have that discussion. I use spaces for my reasons and I like them. I understand the arguments for tabs and I like the arguments for tabs. They're great arguments. But for me, when I am trying to modify code, I prefer having spaces so that I can navigate around easier. But from a presentation standpoint, the tabs where you can set your tab width to whatever spacing size you want, and any other developer, when they pick up your repo, just because they want more space from the left edge doesn't mean that they need to modify the file that they're touching because they formatted it. Instead, they just tell it, I want 4 spaces to represent her. I want my tabs to be 4 spaces wide, even though they're still the tab character, versus someone else that's like, I want them to be 2 characters wide. I like those. I like that argument a lot. And whatever other argument you come up with is a great argument for using tabs instead of spaces, but I prefer personally using spaces. I thought I preferred tabs, and I learned that the default in Visual Studio is spaces. Yeah, there are 4 specific spaces. So instead of being a tab character, they get turned into 4 spaces. Yes. And it looks like in CodePen, it's 2 spaces. I don't know if it's just because I previously set it to 2 spaces. It sounds like something I would have done because I previously preferred 2 space for my tab characters to be represented by 2 spaces. I have gotten used to curly braces on new lines and using 4 space from the left. That's a good reason. So Dukasoft says, I hate deleting spaces, so tab to save time. Cool. Napalm said, I don't have time for those holy wars. Set that shit in editor config and move on with your life. True. Absolutely. So that's a team thing. But what if you have a public repo and, well, no, I guess then that means that you're the maintainer, so whatever you say goes and everyone else has to conform to it, so editor config argument still wins. Nice. My opinion on tabs versus spaces is, I don't care. I'll just ruin everyone else's code. Juan Van says, all code should format to your style on download. Yes! when you clone, like, this would be the dream. The repo doesn't care about your coding style preferences. When you check in, it all turns into code style jumbled. Except the well, yeah, that would be really difficult. Except the instance where you have specific, I'm spacing over this far manually for whatever personal formatting reasons. But when you clone it, or even when you preview it in, let's say you're using GitHub, when you preview it in GitHub's code spaces or wherever else, then it formats it based off of your settings, some default settings, and then your settings in the browser. Whatever you set it to show you in the page. Yeah. Okay. If you couldn't tell, I'm doing something that I really don't necessarily want to do, which is I'm already starting to sketch this out in HTML, even though we aren't completely done with our design. But I'm at a point where I need to visualize this better. I can't just do it the way that real designers probably do it, which is make static images of different states. I need to see it. I need to see what it does. So we are going to half implement this. We're going to scaffold it, sketch it, whatever you want to call it. Oops, that goes down here. No, that was the hero title, wasn't it? So you aren't a H1. You would, oh man. You would still be a H1, but we're going to give you a class of hero title. Oh, right. And then we need this to be another pair of divs for left content. Or what do we call this? We call this the text content of our hero, because it may get shifted around when we do responsiveness. This is responsiveness, in case you were wondering. Scaffold it out with static content, and then turn the static content dynamic. Yeah. Okay. All right. Catching up with chat. Use tabs, but my IDE changes them to spaces. So there. Yeah. Like I press the tab button, but it turns it into spaces. Comments. I read those. Then I do what I want. Pointing at my chin, so you know that I have a chin. I think there's a plugin for Azure DevOps to streamline tabs versus spaces in all PRs behind the scenes. It basically does Control KD on the server. Yeah, that would be the thing that I want. So as you're doing a, not even a commit, as you're doing a compare, I still think it happens at the clone step. So at the clone step, you have your version of the code that gets formatted to your editor's preferences, or editor config if you're doing that on the team. But at this point, you wouldn't need editor config. So your editor's preferences, as you're doing a pool, Control KD for the entire project. And that's what gets cloned to your system. And then whatever changes you make in your editor gets compared to that. And then when you push, then on the server, it does Control KD and then compares the changes there too. Yeah, that sounds really hard to implement. All code should format to your style on download. Yeah, that's what we're definitely talking about from your comment. I think there's a plugin for Azure. I read that 6 times. I will have changes to editor config in every push if you stick with spaces, just letting you know. No problem, I'll reject your PRs. Or loss. Then Thindle said to take us off. Don't worry, I'll sneak them past code review before Napalm sees them. Deflux, hi Deflux. Hope you're having a great day. I saw you on TBD stream earlier saying gamble all, and then you got quiet. I've seen you before, Captain Chica. How's it saying this is your first chat? I think you've said hi before. Don't argue over spaces. Tabs take up less memory. Yeah, and again, another great argument. So a tab character is a single character versus 4 characters for every tab. It's a good argument for tabs, but again, I still prefer spaces when I'm writing code. So the overall answer that we seem to be coming to, that we can all most likely agree on, is compress the character set to whatever character set you want when character set you want when you are committing the code to your repo, and it gets standardized there to whatever the lightest weight character set is, and then when you're cloning it to your machine or pulling latest or whatever, then it gets expanded to your preferences. That'd be the dream. I think it would be hard to do. Yeah. Deflux said, speaking of repos, I have a general repo GitHub question that your audience may have input on. If a feature branch that I have branched off of dev from, so I'm parsing this and I'm trying to rephrase it. You have a dev branch that is your trunk, most likely, that you all work off of as devs. Then you created a feature branch off of that. Okay. Let's say I complete that feature and I merge it back into dev. Do I then merge dev into QA, or do I merge that feature branch into QA? Our practice is that the dev branch is whatever the current dev branch is what goes to QA. So it might not just be your changes only. It might be your changes plus someone else's changes that got merged into dev before QA was able to get their own branch. But yeah, Captain Chica, definitely, I agree with you. Then Evan was responding to my scaffolding it out with static content and then turn the static content dynamic. Yes. Motion blenders. I've been at customers that did both to Deflux. And then Evan says to Deflux, depends on the branching strategies your team has adopted. It seems like everybody does things slightly differently. Correct, I agree. Last place I was at, we'd have a release candidate branch that goes to QA. Did you guys do intermediate testing though, before release candidates? So for every single branch that we do, we have CI builds that get tested by our testers. But we consolidate them, and then when our tester gets to the most recent CI build for our dev, then they'll test whatever things are in that based off of the release number and then the DevOps work items for everything up to that release number. I mean, it's a simple set CI/CD to, it's simple. Set CI/CD to fail if formatting is not obeyed. Warning is errors, friends. Oh man. I would send my OCD into convulsions. What would? Let's read. I wanted to read the end so that we have something to look forward to. So Thindle said to Napalm, I'm getting there. I have like 500 warnings in my code right now. It feels like a bad time to set them as errors. It'll make sure that you clean them up before you commit anything else. You can do as many local commits as you want, but you can't commit to the repo until all errors are cleaned up. Man, you should see how many warnings I have in. So what the story goes, yay! The story goes, it's Big Gamey. Oh man, hi Big Gamey. I hope you're doing well. I hope your computer is cooperating with you this week. Yes, it's baby. It's baby. Slash. If you're not already following Big Gamey, he is a game developer working on a game called Homeward Hound. You just got to check it out. It's great. And his stream is great too. The applications that I used to work on at the RMA were done in .NET 5. Well, they were originally done in JSP. I converted them over to .NET Framework MVC projects. Then I went from .NET Framework to .NET Core, .NET Core 5, because that was the latest that was out when I was doing that process using Blazor. And then I was going from upgrading to .NET 6 just before I left. And so once nullability became a thing, my messages and unused variables became even more well covered by the linter. My warnings went from like maybe 50 to 100 to 1500. So anyway, that's all. I thought that was funny. I run my code in UTF-16 with spaces and format it to UTF-8 with tabs, and my source gets compressed by about 45%. Nice. Very nice. Rest of these, it feels like a bad time to set them as errors. Yeah. Deflex responded to Evan's response to him that says, well, I guess I'm asking a specific question regarding procedure for Git. We have a dev QA main branch with environments for each. My question is, do I merge dev to QA and then QA main? Or I'm supposed to not do that, but merge a feature branch into dev, feature branch into QA, then into main. So I would never move. That tree looks odd to me. I like having the trunk as your dev, and then of course main is like your real trunk, but dev is like your working trunk. And then your features split off of that, and you only ever merge your features into your dev. And then dev gets picked up. So you make a release off of your dev branch that has all of the changes in dev that you've annotated, and then that release number is what gets sent to QA. So they don't look at the code. Well, our QA doesn't look at the code. Our QA tests the app. They test to make sure that the functionality has not broken from before, and that the functionality we're adding or fixing is added or fixed without breaking. Then our dev branch is what we merge into main when we are ready, or no, not even then. Our dev branch is what we create the release candidate off of. And then that release candidate, once it's accepted, is the thing that gets merged into main when we're ready to do release. So we make a release and merge it into main. So main will only ever be our latest release. But that's just our team. Our team could be doing it really weirdly. I'm not great at branching strategies because this team is my first official encounter with a team dynamic that uses repos. Okay, Captain, I read that one. Thindle said to Napalm, I'm mid-conversation, mate. Like 80% of it are, this is obsolete. Use something else on my own code. Conversion, I said conversation. Conversion. Obsolete is awesome if you want to get rid of something over time. And Napalm said to Thindle, I get it, migrations are kind of an exception case, in my honest opinion. Otherwise, stuff I force errors because, otherwise, that stuff I force errors because people get lazy. True. Yes. So if you have a greenfield project that you're starting from scratch, first thing, turn on warnings as errors. Sure. or at least editor warnings as errors. I can get behind that. Oh damn, I did a bad grammar. I'm sorry, my English is so bad. No worries, just try British instead. What? Then said to Napalm +10. If there is a warning that you can't get rid of without bending over backwards, suppress it. And I'm doing that. I've fallen into this habit, and it's probably wrong, but let's say you're in a component and you have a parameter that is like public bool show, for example. Typically, your parameters are supposed to be auto properties. And then you have another parameter because you want two-way binding. So you make an event callback of bool called show changed using the naming convention. And so what you're looking for is anytime that you change the value of show in your code, you want to call show changed so that the parent component will get the message that show changed, and so your two-way binding works. But what I've been doing is having a private bool show and then have my show be a full property that says give me back the value of show, and when you set, then if our saved value of show is already equal to the value coming in, do nothing. I already got a fail for this. Otherwise, set the value of show to the value coming in. And then if show changed has delegate, then invoke that method. The issue is this is a synchronous context, and you can't do asynchronous stuff in a property, in a full property get set. So you are essentially doing a fire and forget when you do show change dot invoke async, because there is no regular invoke in this case on event callback. Invoke async and then your new value of, or your current value of show. And I like this because you don't need to write any code that calls show changed anywhere else. If you ever update the value of show, then you will invoke the callback, and so it'll always be up to date. But unfortunately, I'm getting compiler messages, warnings, or yeah, they show up as warnings. Do they? They show up as messages that says this should be an auto property. So I cheat and I suppress. I don't know what the syntax is off the top of my head, but I suppress that Blazor message. Okay, I'm not going to catch up to chat. I think we're done coding for the day. We still have 30 minutes in the stream, but it's going to take me that long just to catch up in chat. Example when you're wait, if there wasn't a warning you can't, if there is a warning you can't get rid of without bending over backwards, suppress it. Unless it's legit, then consider refactoring. I love that response, Nabom. And then Thindle continued, example, when you're building Visual Studio extensions, sometimes you need a variable in a class that you will never access. It's there to have a bunch of attributes and be accessed by Visual Studio behind the scenes. Yes. If you touch it, things break, so you'll get a never accessed warning on that. It's okay to suppress that one because touching it will break things. Makes sense. Okay. Deflux was saying in response to the things that we said. So many trunks, no. Okay. So in the case of GitHub Actions, how do I prevent the GitHub Actions from moving from dev into QA? If that's the pipeline, if that's how it's set up, then you don't. You work in a way that says when I push, when we do our PR and merge into dev, and that PR is completed, then it automatically kicks off a release to, or not a release, a merge into QA, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know what that is, because again, the only thing that my pipelines do after you merge a PR into trunk into dev is they make a release. So they don't create new branches, they don't make anything else in GitHub. And I guess I should say that our releases are all handled in Azure DevOps, even though our code repository is using GitHub. So we create a build off of our PR, is what I'm trying to say. So Thindle is showing the example of where that happens. And then easy use discard, which is great, by the way. So underscore equals instead. But I think it needs to be named specifically. Is that what Thindle you're saying? Thanks for the shout out. That was all Dukasoft. He's amazing. So cool. Right, I do need to update a thing as of today. Stream elements, please. Stream element or stream elements. Log me in using Twitch. Why do I need to update my details? Oh my gosh. I don't want to update my details. Just stop. Timers. Other streamers. Can you disable? Do I have to delete? Oh wow, you can't delete the first item? Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. Stream notes. Stream notes. Save that. Cut, pasta, delete. Actually, I haven't seen you online for a while, so you are also gone. Something. Okay, save. All right, that is reset and updated. Probably misunderstood your example, Thindle. I would have to look at it, but usually there are ways. I hate pragmas and comments, of course, or etc. But I am anal, so there's that. Big Gamey said, so many trunks and no elephant is right. Oh, insight. That's because I'm using my elephant whistle and it's working so good down here. I haven't seen a single elephant. So if you guys are worried about it, I strongly recommend Elephant Whistle, made by the Elephant Whistle Company. It makes sure that you don't ever get any elephants wherever you use your whistle inside your house. It's great. It's worked so well. Anyway. This is the recommended approach from the big Satya in the sky. I see, okay. Comments are because I'm explaining the code for a guy who wanted the example. Oh, we could get on the topic of comments with TBD Gamer. He's got some takes. Yeah. That's probably what I would put in a... Then Satya is lazy. That's probably what I would put in the comment. So when you are ready, you create a branch off dev, and that branch is then merged into QA. We don't have a QA branch. That's the thing. What we do is every single time we commit or we do a PR merge, we create a build, and that build is picked up by our QA team. And so in that build, we have the release number, the release version, which is the Azure DevOps release number that's generated 2024-0318.1 or .2 or whatever number we're at. Jeez, I forgot a thing. But yeah, no branches for QA. They get whatever the commit number is for that PR and the release number, and that's it. If I was working on it, I would likely post on the GitHub issue and complain. I'm lucky. I have worked on old systems, but most of my work is greenfield. Nice. That must be nice. Well, I'm being told to come up with the procedures on Git usage. Okay. Yeah, I have an opinion, but it's probably not right. That's about it. I have what our team does and how it could be improved in my mind, and what I'm going to do if I ever work on a team where I decide the branching strategy. And that is, main branch is only ever latest production. And that way, if we need to do any hot fixes, then that goes through a process where we branch off of production, do the hot fix, merge it into dev, merge it into a release candidate for the hot fix, merge the release candidate into main, and then pull it back into dev. Or yeah, we don't merge the hotfix into dev at all. We only merge it into main. And then we pull it back into dev. TBD Gamer is still in a meeting, but just wanted to add deflux. I agree with Napalm. Poor bastard. It's terrible. Oh, man. Okay, so the fail sound was for the LLM not actually being turned on. Loaded, the model not being loaded into the LLM, which it is now, but ops. LLM says internal server error. I'm terribly sorry, but my brains are fumbling to understand the content sent, or at least the format it was sent in. Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog. Internal server error. Oh. It can't be discarded because it needs to be there, but I'm not allowed to access it directly, or boom. And then I'm still confused as deflux. The whole initialization, initiating an extension to work on an editor in Visual Studio is weird. There's so much do this and this magic happens that makes very little sense because it's all internal with interop and reflection. Like the creation listener, I instantiate a class and discard it. That's necessary. It tracks that it was created. Deflux said we have a dev environment, a QA environment, and a production environment, which again doesn't tell me why you need branches. Oh, yeah, why you need branches for them. The pipeline that does the build would be the thing that sets your system parameters, variables, your environment variables for the target system. So you do one pipeline that builds for your QA environment, that sets the environment variable that this is QA environment, or it doesn't even need to set that, but the build itself, build profile would need to match your QA environment. Same with production, same with dev. Keep it simple. Commit to prod. Keep it simple. Pass floppy disk around. I got contacted by Jeremiah. You guys remember Jeremiah? And he was telling me about a situation where he's like, "Is this acceptable in normal industry stuff?" He got a message back from his IT people saying that they will test for free in production. But if you want to set up a test environment, it's going to cost $5,000 for the environment. But his question was essentially, is it acceptable to only test in production? And I'm like, acceptable? No. Standard practice? Yeah. It kind of happens. Yeah, I'm looking for like the gold standard on what should be done. Look up standard Git flow or some well-established branching strategy and go with that. Don't make up your own. Don't go off of what I'm saying because mine is opinionated and I'm okay with not following gold standard. Vindel said this. Just this. Use this. I just got at a said meeting, finally. Awesome. Hey, TBD Gamer says, Duka soft. And then to Deflux, TBD Gamer says, the problem with gold standards as they are is that they are only as good as the people working with them. True. Because the team would have to agree and follow that process. And not do things like commit directly to main when main is locked down, but they have force push capabilities. So they are like, I'm not going to wait on someone else to review my PR, so I'm just going to go ahead and push main. I don't need my PRs reviewed. Not bitter. Hashtag not bitter. And then hello to Dukasoft from TBD Gamer, and then Deflex said to TBD Gamer, yeah, I know. And Dukasoft said, I'm pretty good, thank you. How about you? TBD Gamer says, just 4 more hours of my day. Same. At the time that you type that, probably. I got 3 hours and 15 minutes left in my, well, it'll be 3 hours total left in my workday after the stream ends. TBD Gamer said, I just got at a meeting where we had to agree to add a temporary column to 200 tables where we hope that developers don't use the wrong column, and in 2 years we can deprecate the temporary column. What could go wrong? Whoa, that one broke my brain. I've got 2 days left, 2 days off work. Yay! I've been going nonstop every weekday. Well, I shouldn't say nonstop. I get dinner during the day, which is nice. I guess if we get an error from QA saying class file X line 55, I would want to switch to the QA branch and see exactly why or what is happening. Exactly. That's what I'm saying the commit number is for. So your dev branch has all of the commit history. And so the one that you put in, the one that you use to create the release for QA would be the one that you check out. So it's kind of the same as checking out the QA branch, but instead you're checking out the commit that was used for that release and going to that line number and looking at it. I was reading up on feature flow this morning. Another branching strategy or just strategy overall that I don't really know. Is it anything like Git flow? Because it sounds like it would be like Git flow. Well, I'm opinionated too, but I appreciate it. I only work 3 days per week, so there's that. Well, that's nice though. I'm glad that you are able to. I work 5 days a week and full-time plus half-time. Cool. That was a good conversation. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, though, Deflux. If you still want to talk more about it, please feel free to follow up. We'll keep discussing it. I'm going to keep adding content to this. True, I should have said work. Because Stindl said, I work. I love rabbit ears. Button. I need a button. So this button is going to just be our class call to action. Sure. Get started. I think I called it get started. So again, another case where in our app, in the app that I work on officially during the day, I would have to do capital G, lowercase started, capital G and get lowercase started, which is very odd to me. It feels wrong. This is the text content. This is going to be graphic content. Yes. I don't typically try to name things in a funny way, but this one just happened to come out in a funny way. So this is going to be called lowercase g, capital S. This is just going to be called graphic content. Div class graphic placeholder. Actually, what did I call it up here? Oh, place dash holder. How about placeholder dash logo? This is going to be called hero image, hero dash image, and then just placeholder. And all placeholders will get the same basic styles, and then we'll just size this one according to where it's located. What else am I missing for this to be done? Let's go ahead and do the rest of the page. So this is a section. So this is actually a section, now that I think of it. And it's the hero section. We're going to have another section that is going to be a section. Well, again, we're going to use semantic HTML. I am so used to using div soup that just being able to use this section as opposed to having a class called section and then maybe the name of the actual section or an ID. I just use section element selector. So section ID equals track transactions section. There's another question. For your HTML markup, do you use camel case for ID? Do you use snake case? Do you use underscores? Whatever that's called. Because I know class names are supposed to be snake case, or not really snake case, snake formatting. All lowercase and dashes. Or not supposed to be. I think that that is the current standard for how to do class names. But IDs, I'm not sure what the standard is for them. I don't typically call things Duca, but then Duca happens. Yes, true. True. Sorry, I had two concepts in my head. Release flow was what I was looking at, and I'm still learning what it means and why it's different. Okay. Makes sense. So feature flow is not, maybe it is a thing. Maybe you just came up with something that you knew existed, but didn't know. Does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense. Duca. So this should be a Duca track transaction section. We'll get some Duca variables in here. I don't have a redemption for it, but I like giving those out for free. This one will have a header. because sections can have headers, which means that, should I really call this header, even though it's on the left side? I don't know. Wakarimasen desu. So this section gets a header with a H2. And the reason that this is a H2 is because our main header is, well, crap. Our main header should really be the app title. So this is the thing that should get a H1 essentially. But as far as the page is concerned, this is just a header nav. Oh. Should this be header? And we'll get this like absolutely right once we look it up. But should this be a header with a nav inside of it as opposed to a nav with a header inside of it? Yes. And on top of that, this is the nav. So this left part of the header is not nav. This right part of the header is nav. Because if I'm thinking about a screen reader, I'm trying, like, I want to just sketch this out, but I'm also still factoring in accessibility. If I'm thinking about a screen reader, then it will, the thing it would expect to see in a nav is how to get around this website. So if I find a nav, I'm expecting to find links that will take me to different portions of the page or the website, not the app title and the logo and stuff. So that's what I'm going with. A header for the entire page with one half of it or one side of it is the title and logo, which is called brand. And the other half of it is going to be the nav. Or other side of it. Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. And then, of course, the nav can then take on things like collapsed, where it turns into a hamburger, etc. So then main, we get a section called hero. We get a section called, or with ID. Yeah, which means that you're going to be an ID. Hero section. Cool. So then anyway, point is that the H1, you should, in your HTML document, whatever page you're on, you should always use the H tags in order. Don't use H tags, and this is just me regurgitating things that I've learned about design. Don't use H tags to size things. If you have a H1, your screen reader is going to read this as a major heading. If you have a H2, it'll read it as a second level heading. So don't use H2 to size the content here if it actually is primary header. So that's why I'm using H2 here. It is a secondary header for the content that appears right here. And then the thing immediately under it is a caption, which should also be here. Okay, so because hero title will only ever be in one place, I'm going to make this an ID. Yeah, maybe that's the approach that I need to start thinking about. If I'm only ever using the thing in one place, instead of trying to use a class to style that one element, I will use an ID. Yeah, don't use H to size it all. Correct. But actually do use H's for sure. Definitely. But anyway, I'm running out of time. So what we're going to do in our next stream on Wednesday is fill in this CodePen with the structure that we have here. Try to visualize this effect just because I need to visualize it. Actually, the 3 effects. Going from this full page to scrolling so that the top part is collapsed and we start seeing the content, to scrolling more to where the content is replacing the hero and the hero is vanishing into the top of the page. So that's that. That's going to be it for today's stream, though. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for the opinions. I love opinions, especially with Deflux's situation for establishing a good branching strategy. If you want to continue that conversation more, feel free to do so in Discord. Reach out directly to Deflux. I'd be happy to talk about it more in the next stream if you have more ideas. But you have all been amazing. Thank you so much for being here. I have not been following people. So I think people started their stream after my stream, so I do not have them already up and running on multi-stream. But we have not gone to Jonas in a while. Eunice, as what's his face? Irish John calls him. But we'll head over to Red Cabin Games, who is a game developer, but he's working on this really cool top-down shooter RPG looking. Anyway, it's called Space Scavenger 2, which means that yes, there was a Space Scavenger 1 that he has already released and is out there on Steam. But Space Scavenger 2 he's working on stream, and I love the graphics on this. I love top-down shooters. They're great. Red Cabin Game of Death. So we're heading over there. If you don't feel like watching a game streamer, you don't have to stick around, but I recommend it. He's got a great personality. He's a great streamer. So yeah, like I said, I will be back on Wednesday. I'm going to do this thing that TBD Gamer showed me, which is I can multi-stream to YouTube and Twitch. It doesn't violate the affiliate agreement. So that will make it so that whenever we're done with the stream, the VOD will be available on YouTube immediately after, as well as it is on Twitch. But for now, I'll just I'll export the video to YouTube as soon as I can create the title and description. Yeah, but that's it for me for today. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Feel free to reach out to me on Discord if you need anything. I'll be busy with regular workday stuff. Okay, ciao for now. Oh no, he's quitting. He's quitting. Okay, we're not going to. I don't like doing that to people. He's quitting. Gosh. We went to Sedalix last time. I'm gonna get tired. I need to wave this whole time. It'll be bad. How about Muniz? Have we been to Muniz lately? Baby's on. Baby's on. Baby's on. Okay. Ooh, I pinned a message. I'm impressed at your waving ability. That needed to be pinned. Unpinned. Thank you. Gotta do the queen. I can't right now. My left arm is tired. There we go. How's that? Okay, well, anyway, we're going over to BitGamey. Marcus Voice Coder is here. You need a butt to do the waving for you. Human bot. Got it. Oh. Okay. I'm gonna do my normal wave. It's easier to wave them from my left hand because mouse. And I can do stuff like, turn off the camera. Turn the music up. Turn the mic off.